Yes, folks, hello, welcome once again to MoDXtra Games and Collectibles. I'm Chris, this is my channel. Absolute pleasure to have you with me here today. And it is time for another Amazon action figure accessory review here on the channel. This is when I go rooting around in the depths of Amazon to find obscure action figure accessories. You know the type of thing I'm talking about, stuff that's being made and imported over from the Far East with really weird, janky titles, photoshopped pictures, clearly reviews written by staff at the company that make the accessory, those types of things. Pick them up, give them a try, take a close look at them, crack them open and, share my first instinctual reaction so that you know whether it is an item that you can make use of or whether it's too risky and something not to bother with. And in today's video, I am taking a look at the contents of this very, very exciting plain brown box. Folks, this is I think it's called Cayway's Tree Stumps and Rocks, Miniature Rocks selection. So I've been looking at doing a little bit more stuff in the foreground of some of my photos, went rooting around for some bits and found these rocks and tree stumps. So I'll show you the Amazon page. We'll have a quick look at that. Then we'll take a closer look at the rocks and tree stumps, and then I'll show you some pickies that I've taken with them so you can see if they're any good or not. All right, let's get into it. All right then, folks, well, just around me here now, you can see the Amazon webpage for this item. It's the Cayway 8-piece miniature tree stumps, miniature stone rock, statue, mini garden, figurine stumps, ornaments for micro train, landscape, railway, sand table. Just a keyword stuffed title here. You get 4 tree stumps, 4 rocks in there. You can see the pictures here. These are legit photos, which is something that we don't always get with the kind of the jankier Amazon accessories. They're often photoshopped, but the pictures are pretty good. Got the measurements on here, so I knew they were probably a little bit on the smaller side compared to what I might ideally want. They're not particularly advertised as 6-inch scale or anything, but as I said before, I was seeking some embellishments for kind of foreground photograph stuff there. So actual photos of the item, which kind of gave me a little bit more confidence diving in on these. That one there with the one of the tree stumps in hand is legit, you know, from having the tree stump in my very own hand. So that all filled me with a lot more confidence, not that kind of weird Photoshop type stuff that you often get. And with a few minis there thrown into the mix to help us out. So it's good. Yeah, $10.99, which is reasonable. Obviously, I've got massive shipping because I'm on Amazon.com right now, although I bought it from Amazon.co.uk. The description was a bit better written as well, even though it's got a super keyword stuffed title. It wasn't as crazy in the description as we sometimes see with these items. So they've got some extra photos showing how they can be used, a little bit more of a sensibly written description and stuff. There wasn't any reviews. Oh, one review, but no written reviews, just a customer rating of 5 stars, which is obviously something I often look at as well to make decisions about things to review in these Amazon action figure accessory reviews. So it was reasonably enough priced for what they were. The photos, rather than photoshopped pictures, drew my attention, and obviously I was looking for a very specific purpose, so there it is. As always, folks, these Amazon accessory reviews, I have an Amazon influencer page with I was about to say playlist. It's not a playlist, you know, a wish list or ideas list, they call them, with all these items that I review there. So if this is, by the end of the video, of interest to you, please, I would encourage you to use my Amazon affiliate link, because that little kickback helps me, you know, pick up more Amazon accessories to review. So if you find this useful, then you can help and support the continuation of this type of review, because I'm taking a lot of risk, dropping a lot of money on things that might turn out to be shite, you know what I mean? But there it is, the Cayway 8-piece miniature tree stumps, miniature stone rock, statue, mini garden, figurine stumps, ornaments for micro train, landscape, railway, sand table. You could also use them at the bottom of a fish tank, I think, if you were so inclined. Right, let's take a closer look at the pieces. There they are then, folks. They've come in this really kind of boring, you know, nondescript brown box here. And the items just came loose like this. We've got the tree stumps and the rocks here. The autofocus is struggling a little bit with my hands, but I'll try not to move them around too much. But yeah, you got the 4 of the tree stumps, 4 of the rock pieces. Let's have a look at the tree stumps first. So you can see there we got 4 in total, 2 of the smaller ones, the middle one and the bigger chunky one at the end there. They are pretty small. I'll show you next to a couple of figures in the photos towards the back end of the vid, so stick around to see that. But there's definitely, some stuff you can do, sort of piling them up like so, just to create these kind of, these little fallen tree kind of debris looks, like little dio images. So they're not big enough and chunky enough and wide enough to replicate a whole fallen tree that you might want to pop an outback behind, popping some using as cover, popping some shots off or anything. And they're certainly not very good for the kind of upright use, because they've got the sculpted ends in on them there. But they're pretty good, to be fair. The sculpting quality is decent. Nice paint job on them with the darker recesses in there. They've been given a wash, and they've got a good kind of fallen tree wood-like texture in them, and that's the same across all 4 of the pieces. So if you wanted to, I don't know, you can make like a little bonfire with a bit of a flame effect or smoke effect coming through. There's options, and even though they are perhaps a bit smaller than you might want to use in a kind of larger display space, they're decent enough, and I like them, and I've been enjoying them. And the rocks are decent too. I mean, they're just kind of hollowed out molded plastic there, you can see, with the gap in the bottom. But in terms of sculpt design, paint applications, they've got the little washes on them as well, like with the trees, to give them some texture and some depth. They're looking pretty good. And they're decent for the... I'll reiterate what I said in the intro there. I'm looking for just some like little kind of foreground embellishments for some of the pickies that I've been taking, or to dropping around some of the little displays I like to play around with. And these are pretty decent. We've got this kind of rockier one here. Then we've got these 2 sort of mossy ones there. This one is probably my least favourite. The rock's fine, but it's got this sort of stone, or is that a skull, a piece of bird skull, with a bit of bone there, and the paint application, the paint job on the skull and the bone isn't great. But I suppose if I'm taking the picture from in front like that, it's not too bad. And it does look like, the moss has sort of started to grow into the skull piece, or the bit of bent metal, whatever it's supposed to be. I'm not really quite sure what it's supposed to be, but a little extra bit of flavour nonetheless. So they're good, they're nice, if you want to just have your figure putting the foot up on a rock or something, 1 foot on the floor, 1 foot up on a rock with a gun resting over the back of their head, or if you just want to put a little bit of something in the foreground of your picture to give it a little bit more field of view, field of depth, then yeah, these rocks are pretty decent too. So overall, my first instinctual impressions when I opened them up earlier today were positive. I was like, oh yeah, actually, I think I can do quite a bit with that. So there you go. There's the sort of the lay of the land with the tree stumps and with the rocks. But the real, the real thing you want to see is how do they look against the figures. So what I'm going to do now is go away, get some Manchild playtime in, take some photos with these in the light box with some G.I. Joes and what have you, with some backdrops and things to see how they look in use. So stick around. Future Chris is going to come back and talk you through some photos he's taken in just a moment. All right. Okay, folks, Future Chris here. It's been a few days since I recorded the sections you've just watched there now, and I've been away and taken some photos as promised. You will see on screen right now a gallery of said photos making their way around, and ultimately with a review of this nature, this is the bit that will, finalise whether this is a product for you or not. I'll let you examine these pictures and make your own judgment call, really, but I have found them useful. All my initial instinctual reactions around the size and them being a little bit small have borne out. They've borne out to be true. They are a bit little, particularly the logs, but they do fit in. You can see in some of these pictures, I've just kind of placed them in the foreground and then let the depth of field sort of blur them a little bit. So they're just little flavour pieces, and they certainly serve a purpose in terms of just general kind of debris, tree debris hanging around in the scene. The rocks have been fine, no problem at all with those. They look good on camera. They have served the purpose that I suggested they would, where they're just things to have like, characters popping feet up on or sitting on. There's a picture in this gallery somewhere. If I can edit it successfully, hopefully it'll be on screen right now, where I've got, Outback sitting on the rocks, eating a chocolate bar, having a snap break, that type of thing. So they definitely do add a bit of flavour, and they definitely add that kind of third-dimensional depth that I was looking for in the pictures, those embellishments, as I said earlier. So I've enjoyed them, I've found them useful, and I definitely thought they've been worth a tenner, you know, especially when you compare them to the sort of over-the-counter 3D printing price you get in locations like Etsy. And overall, you know, they're well put together. They're sculpted well, they're painted well, they've got washes on them to give them depth. I've got very little in the way of complaints, and would probably say that I've been happy using them and will continue to use them in photos like the ones you're looking at rotating around on the screen right now. So yeah, it's a MoDXtra recommends, I reckon. But you know, make your own decision. You've seen the pickies now. So there we go. Okay, folks. Well, I'll make sure the link is down in the description below for the item. So if it is of interest to you, you can go and pick one up yourself. Again, I'll reiterate, that's an Amazon affiliate link. So don't forget, I'll get a little kickback if you use that. And there's my, you know, my legal disclaimer piece. But of course, that kickback helps me continue doing this type of Amazon accessory review. All right. Well, yeah, I hope you enjoyed it. Give us a thumbs up if you liked it. Subscribe if you're not already subscribed. Blah, 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 blah. YouTuber promo things. But more importantly, I'd love to see you around these parts again sometime soon. So swing back by for another video in the future. And in the meantime, I hope you have a great day. Okay? Take it easy, folks. Bye-bye now.